Hi, thank you for tuning in to our Q&A. And thank you to those of you who have asked questions. And I always preface these, in case this is the first one you're listening to, with this comment that after you hear the question, I'd like you to pause the recording so that you have a moment to clear your, I like to say, cobwebs out of your head. It's kind of like that because it's old thinking. It's our conditioned, learned ways of thinking that we want to clear out of our head in order to access a deeper wisdom, a spiritual wisdom, a wisdom that comes before the physical formation of thought, the physical being the brain that takes our formless spiritual energy of the ability to think and churns it out into some personal thinking. Now, don't get me wrong, personal thinking is good for certain things, like when to set the alarm in order to get to the airport in time, but we overuse it. It's like using scissors to, I guess you could use scissors to nail in a nail, but it's better to use a hammer. So let's use our wisdom to answer this question. It's a great question. They're all great questions because they're all questions that any one of us have encountered at some point. How do you forgive someone who has physically and emotionally harmed you? I want to move on without feeling like I'm a pushover or sweeping problems under the rug or having an I don't care about you attitude. What a great question. I love this. So remember to pause and then come back on. So let's see what occurs to me. How to forgive someone. Like we all know that forgiveness is for the forgiver. We've heard that in different places in life. So could that be our condition learned knowing or personal knowing? Yes, but we also know it at a deeper level, that when we've been able to forgive a person, just different than forgiving an act. It's not like you forgive a person and then all of a sudden you give them free rein to do the same thing to you. Forgive them, move on, give them another chance, give them the benefit of the doubt. And if it happens again, okay, I forgive you. I don't forgive the act, though. So here's the deal. Part of this question was, how do you forgive somebody who has hurt you emotionally, physically? I mean, obviously, if it's physical, you have to take space and be safe. I would not trust somebody who is capable of hurting me physically. No, that's too big a risk. And, my life is too precious to risk something like that. But emotional hurt, is that really possible? You know what comes to mind? I know this is my personal thinking, but it's kind of funny, so I'll put it out there. Remember, maybe you never heard this, but I did as a child. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never hurt me. Well, that never made sense to me as a child because teasing would hurt. It hurt me. Why did it hurt me? Because there was a part of it I believed, I bought into. And then later I found out that half the time boys were making fun of me. Maybe they were like flirting with me. Maybe they were trying to get my attention. Who knows? Who cares? But that was another part of this question. I don't want to get into a state of not caring about this other person. There's two different ways of not caring. There's the who cares that I just used, like is this something I really want to care about? Nah, it's going to take up too much of my brain power. But can I care about someone who is at a certain level of consciousness, and at that level of consciousness doesn't see how to treat people, doesn't know how to treat people? It's not my job to teach them, but I might recommend tuning into some of Sid Banks' talks, sidbanks.com. I might recommend tuning into YouTube's under Sydney Banks. He's no longer alive, but, you know, wonderful that he's captured on video and audio and books that are just wonderful. So he was my most valuable mentor in life, and I always direct people, whether they take me up on it or not. That's not on me. Again, that's lovingly not caring, because, you know, maybe it's just not the right time for them. Maybe they're not trusting my word enough, which is their thinking, but that's not my business. That's not something for me to concern myself with. And so I hope this was helpful, that there is absolutely a way to forgive someone without forgiving the deed. And what comes to mind is one of Sid's books, The Missing Link. There is a few pages and a chapter called Love and Forgiveness. Would definitely check that out. Okay, thanks again for the question.